I was American born, and I'll die in America.
Welcome to our group. Welcome to Defenders 7. If Defenders 7 has and this ought to show it right here.
Do you or someone you know suffer from depression? If so, please contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Defenders 7 Medical Broadcast with your host, our Colonel Kimberly Purvis. Now, before we get on with tonight's show, I need to read our disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on Defender 7 radio show and Facebook page are those of the callers and or authors and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Defenders 7. With that being said, for those of you that are new just tuning in to us, welcome. We welcome everybody to listen. We welcome you to participate. Give us your opinions, your views, and to do so, all you need to do is call area code 914-205-5773. Again, number to call, area code 914-205-5773. Now, we can also be reached on MeWe by clicking on organizations and scrolling down to Defenders 7 Humanitarian American Patriot Group. Or go to our national Facebook page by typing in the search box, all capital letters, Defenders 7. Now, before you click on that button, just know we expect all of our members and our future members to participate in everything that we do throughout the Defenders 7 organization. If you get in and you feel it's not for you, you can always leave. No hard feelings. We have a website. And to get to the website, type in all lowercase letters, www.defenders, Roman numeral V as in Victor, with 2 small i's.com. On our website, you'll find we have a store and a donate button. All proceeds from our sales and any donations we get in go 100% back to our communities in a time of need. By all means, please purchase something or click that donate button, because that's the only way that the Defender 7 can jump in and help out in the communities during a natural disaster or a shit hits the fan situation. It's very important. Now we'll turn the microphone over to your host tonight, now our Colonel, Kimberly Purvis.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Anybody else on?
Just me and you right now.
Yeah, okay. Well, try to keep up. I know we've covered this subject once before, but I like to. It's more of like a refreshing thing, and not all the same callers or listeners hear every single show. So this is something that's important to know. I'm going to do the different types of shock. A lot of people don't understand when there is more than one type of shock, and a lot of times people consider like something traumatic that happens. Oh my God, they're in shock, like a psychological type of shock. But there's actually more than that. And then the other thing, another subject. Well, everything is going to go by time. So as long as I could get through each thing, I'll hopefully be able to cover all three of these subjects. The other one is burns. There are multiple different types of burns, which I'm sure everyone's pretty familiar with the different types of burns. And then finally, hopefully, poisonings. There are different types of poisonings, and some of them are accidental, and a few of them may not be accidental. So, well, I mean, you know, when you get food poisoning is more along the lines of your accidental type, unless you happen to poison them with arsenic, so then you have a heavy metal poisoning along with food poisoning.
Considered accidental.
Accidentally on purpose.
That's right.
But your normal food poisonings are like your E. coli, botulism, salmonella, and things like that. And usually that's always by improper food handling, storage in your refrigerator, and things like that. So we're going to start with the different types of other types of shock. The first one is anaphylactic shock. Now, it refers to a severe and a life-threatening allergic reaction, and it can be a result from eating certain foods. Some people are deathly allergic to peanuts. Aren't you allergic to strawberries?
Yeah.
Or is that? Oh, okay. So yours are strawberries. I'm trying to think of other food allergies besides. Oh, shellfish. Like I'm allergic to shellfish.
Cool. I'm going to cook you lobster dinner.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I've been able to consume some shellfish. It's the amount of iodine. See, I'm actually allergic to the iodine.
Right.
And that's my biggest problem. If I don't eat any shellfish, I'd say for at least a year, I can have 2 shrimp and not get sick.
Right.
Other than that, like iodine and medical procedures, it can kill me, and I've gone into anaphylactic shock from it. Medications. A lot of people are allergic to morphine. Some are allergic to like antibiotics like penicillin. Trying to think. That's the biggest one is penicillin. It's the sulfur drugs. Some could be allergic to sulfur drugs. And insect bites. Now, it could be any type of insect. Mosquito bite, ant bite, wasp, hornet, bee, anything. So, and there's also a different type. You could have the anaphylactic shock, or you could have a localized allergy to it. You know, like most people get stung by a bee, the area turns warm and red, and it might swell up a little bit. But other people, the whole area becomes swollen and firm and hot. So there are different types of allergies. But when referring to anaphylactic shock, the skin becomes itchy. You can have dizziness, coughing. Now, the coughing could be because you're short of breath, and your body will find any way to get air into your body, and coughing is one way. Like, if I have a mild asthma attack, I'll start coughing. It's a dry cough. And you just keep coughing and coughing. It's to get more air into your body. Sneezing. You could break out in hives. Really labored breathing. And that's when you have to worry the most. Start worrying. Wheezing and vomiting. Also, your tongue can swell. And that's the really serious one, is when your tongue starts to swell and your airways start to close. Those are the more seriousness of anaphylactic shock. So basically, the way they treat anaphylactic shock is giving epinephrine, Benadryl, and things like that. When I was in the military, I got my hepatitis A or B, whatever it was, A or B. It's a 3 series shot. I can't remember which one it was. I need to look it up. But I got my first one, and I had projectile vomiting, the cold sweat. It was hard to breathe. And they ended up giving me Benadryl and epinephrine. And I had to sit in the hospital clinic for like an hour or two to make sure. And so from then on out, I always carry Benadryl. Now, a lot of people, for your environmental, a lot of people are allergic to trees, grass, pollen, things like that. They carry EpiPens because they have to. If they get it to theirs, it's a life-threatening illness reaction, and they can die. So your EpiPen would be your most beneficial thing to carry. Now, for myself, I just carry Benadryl, the pills, because most of the time, depending on what it is, most of the time you have a little bit of time, and it takes roughly 30 to 45 minutes for the Benadryl to take effect, or you could carry liquid Benadryl. So there's no dissolving of the pill. It's liquid, and things like that. It's a lot easier to carry the pills, but you don't have to worry about the bottle leaking and stuff like that. But whatever is more convenient for you to carry. So hypovolemic shock is when a person loses too much blood. It could be from anything. You could have a penetrating wound, a gunshot, God forbid. You could be impaled from a car accident, internal bleeding. Now, believe it or not, you could still have hypovolemic shock from internal bleeding because the blood's not where it's supposed to be. So it'll pool up wherever you could have had an injury. You could have had an accident, and say you could have hit the steering wheel, and you could break your ribs, and your rib cage could fill up with blood, your abdomen. So, just because it's still in your body, but you're having blood loss because you have internal bleeding. So basically what it is the heart's unable to pump enough blood to reach the organs, and that can result in organ failure. And like I said, it's usually from severe cuts, trauma injuries, internal bleeding, or endometriosis. For women, I did not know that. The endometriosis has to do with your uterus, and it is very painful actually, but you can also, your uterus could fill up with blood and has from internal bleeding that way, and you can go into hypovolemic shock. So some of the symptoms of hypovolemic shock: headaches, chest pains, dizziness, nausea, pale skin. They could, when it says pale, it could either be cyanotic or it could be like white, blanching white. You know, when you touch your skin and it stays white. The first place that most people check is the nail beds, your fingers, and normally they're pink, but when you touch them, it'll blanch and turn white. But if you're with the hypovolemic shock, it'll stay white. Also, your gums can be blue or white. So those are the two places to check, or your skin. Now, I would say your skin would be the last of the to know of the. I would kind of like, not want to say too late, but that's like the last of the symptoms of the paleness. Shallow breathing, confusion. Like I said, blue lips. I forgot about lips. Blue lips, blue fingernails. You could have blood in your urine, blood in your stool, abdominal swelling, and vomiting blood. Now, the blood in the urine, stool, abdominal swelling, and vomiting blood, those are usually indications of internal bleeding from either your stomach or your intestines. Now, the blood in your stool, you want to pay attention to the color, because some people do bleed when they go to the bathroom, and it could be from internal hemorrhoids or external hemorrhoids, and the blood will be red. And usually that's the last part of the colon, in the rectum, and it'll be bright red or light red or whatever. It's okay, but just pay attention to how much comes out, because you can still bleed out.
Damn near killed him.
Huh?
Rectum hell damn near killed him.
Yeah, damn near killed him. Now, when you get to, like, way up from either your stomach or you're higher up in your intestines, it'll be black, like coffee, like black coffee. That's massive internal bleeding. Sometimes you will actually have blood clots, not all the time. It's a horrible smell. You will never forget it if you ever smell a GI bleed. And that can be from anything. You could have ulcers in your intestines or your stomach. Any chronic illness, like whatever you could think of. Let's think. Or if it's the black in your stool or vomiting, it could also look like coffee grounds as well. That's a sign you really need to get to the emergency room right away. Don't wait. Don't pass go. Just go to the emergency room and get checked out. So if any of these are left untreated, the patient can suffer from brain damage or even death. So call for medical emergency assistance immediately. Make sure the person's lying down. If it's you, make sure you're lying down. Prop your feet up. Elevate your feet. And don't elevate the head. You want the blood to go back to the other direction. Loosen if they have a belt on, loosen the belt. If there's an open wound or gunshot, whatever, on a limb, use a tourniquet. But remember, put it above the wound. And I'll go over, I might do a video on that again, on tourniquet use. But you really shouldn't do it unless you've been shown, like in a class. So, because if you've never used one, don't even bother really trying. Let's see. Once the person receives medical attention, most of the time they'll need a blood transfusion and medication to help with the heart, with the pumping blood to all the organs. And also sometimes they'll give them fluids, as IV fluids as well. Septic shock is, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of, is a person has an infection and it goes into their blood. And the immune system sends its special cells into the blood to fight it. When your immune system can't, that's when it goes into overload and you end up with septic shock. And the process causes inflammation and can lower your blood pressure. If the blood pressure drops too low, then, of course, the organs won't receive enough oxygen and blood flow, and that causes them to go into septic shock. And that is very potentially life-threatening. I actually had sepsis when I had surgery, and the internal stitches, my body reacted to them, and I got 2 abscesses from it. and I had a fever of 104.5, and I was out of it. I had total confusion, and come to find out, then they had to do the drain on it. But pretty much a lot of things can cause sepsis, not just surgery. You can have an infection that starts out as, say, pneumonia, and or whatever, any type of infection that's in your body. So pregnant women, babies, senior citizens, and people with a compromised immune system are more likely to experience septic shock. If you have abdominal surgery, to say, you can end up with sepsis from that. It can also be from improper dressing changes. If it's supposed to be a sterile technique and they don't use a sterile technique, they can actually get another infection, or it can become worse. So some of the symptoms for that is dizziness, slurred speech, shortness of breath, vomiting, severe muscular pain, disorientation, diarrhea, and loss of consciousness. Like I said, it should be treated immediately, and they do intravenous fluids, oxygen therapy, antibiotics, or if it's a severe infection, they can remove the source of the infection. Gangrene. A lot of diabetics who have an amputation end up with gangrene, or anybody can end up with gangrene if your wound is not properly taken care of. I've taken care of a gentleman who had bilateral, both knees amputated from below the knee, and he was a diabetic, and he didn't take care of it, and ended up with gangrene and both of his knees, and he had septic shock, and cleaning the wounds is a nightmare, and the smell is horrible. So if you notice anything like that on yourself or a family member, friend, or whatever, make sure they get treatment right away. So neurogenic shock is when there's an uneven blood distribution throughout the body, and it's often a result of an injury to the central nervous system, a spinal injury, or damage to the brain, like a TBI, which is a traumatic brain injury. And something that I never realized, I've always associated a TBI with a battle injury if you're in the military and you hit your head. Not thinking the whole time a concussion is a form of a TBI. So watch out. When you're on a motorcycle, wear a helmet. Four-wheelers, you really should wear a helmet. I never have, but I got thrown from a four-wheeler many years ago and ended up with a concussion. So especially for children.
Bobby's safe. He always wears a helmet.
Huh? Do what?
Bobby's safe. He always wears a helmet.
But Lorna licks the windows.
Hello. Good evening.
Hello.
I have my Team 4 hat already.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm in the hospital.
Are you still in the hospital?
Well, I came here Sunday night for another treatment. I complete that today. And they're going to give me another one tomorrow, and they're going to release me, and then I have to come back in March. So in and out.
Oh.
Yeah. But
are you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm responding well. That's what the doctor told me. It's
good.
And then they're going to do a bone marrow transplant at the end of all this. So they hope everything will be fine.
Oh, good.
Yeah, thank God. I'm responding well. So how's everybody?
Oh, yeah. Doing pretty good. Just going through the types of shock. I don't know how far you've listened.
I started listening when you were saying about the bleeding and then the gangrene. And now the concussion with the helmet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why I
Okay,
mentioned
so,
my tinfoil hat, because they put a platinum plate on my head.
in your head?
I have to wear. Yeah, because they make a hole in my skull to get the
Okay.
the tissue. Yeah, for the.
Now you really have a hard head.
Yeah, and I have to wear that forever. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you could say
that's
you're really hard-headed. Literally.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm glad to I'm glad to participate.
No,
I missed the other two shows because I was really, really tired. They give me this liquid through an IV to flush my kidneys and my liver until I get to the levels they're looking for. But I gotta pee like every 20 minutes all night long, so I have no sleep.
Oh
so
yeah,
I
know they have the worst time to give you medication.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm fine. I'm okay.
Oh, good.
That's what I missed the other two shows, but now I'm here.
Okay, well, let's get back to it so we can get as much of this information. And whatever you missed, just listen to the beginning of the show again. And I did post. I did post the links for everything I'm going over now on the national page for the group.
Okay.
So whatever you missed, you could go over it and read it, or you could just listen to the beginning of the show again. So some of the most common causes for neurogenic shock, like I said, is car accidents, gunshot wounds, sports injuries, or improper administration of anesthesia to the spinal cord. And that's very important when they do like epidurals, and they have to do they have to do it precise. And sometimes they may hit a nerve, and you'll feel a shock, and that's why it's important to let them know, oh, you hit a nerve. So some of the symptoms of neurogenic shock is chest pain, a weak pulse, discolored lips, hypothermia, blank stares, dizziness, and fainting. Now, the blank stare is like, you know, whenever I guess you would consider it like whenever you see someone daydreaming and they're just like, you can wave your hand in front of their face and they don't even acknowledge it. That's what the same thing as a blank stare. Like they're staring off into the distance and it's like there's no reaction. You have to actually, for something like that, you can actually like touch the person or kind of shake them a little bit to get them out of that blank stare. I try to think the absent seizures have blank stares as well. And so that's the type of seizure that my daughter used to have, those absent seizures when she was a little kid, and then they just went away. So it's not something that you always have. So cardiogenic shock is when the heart is damaged and it can't pump the blood adequately. And it's often a result of a heart attack. And also that can lead to organ failure. Although it's rare, it's very difficult to survive cardiogenic shock. So some of the symptoms is tachycardia, which is a rapid heart rate, usually over 100, 105, 110. Shortness of breath. Now, you could have a regular pulse, like 60, 70 or whatever, but it's really weak. And you could barely feel it. Normally, you can feel the pulsing of a pulse, but when it's weak, you could barely feel it. And I'm sure you've heard on all the TV shows and the EMS shows, the pulse is weak and thready. That's what they're referring to. Cold hands, sweating, and loss of consciousness. And because it's normally the result of a heart attack, also pay attention to chest pressure, shoulder pain, pain along the jawline. It's usually the bottom jaw, not the upper, but it's usually the bottom that hurts. Shortness of breath, lightheadedness, and nausea. Okay, let me see. So let me go. I gotta go let my dogs out. So I got take my phone here. So any of those types of shock, it's really important to notify EMS. And if you're too far away for EMS to get to your house, then drive as safe as you can, or have someone drive you safe as you can. God forbid if you're by yourself, just be careful, and you'll be okay. So I believe that's all there was for the types of shock. Yep. So our next subject is types of burns. Now, there's many different types of burns. So burns are the most common of household injuries, especially with children. And it means more than the burning sensation with the injury. And it's the way they describe it is it's characterized by severe skin damage, and the cells die. So most people can recover from burns without serious health consequences, depending on the cause and the degree of the injury. And so most more serious burns require immediate surgery or immediate emergency medical care to prevent complications of death. And when you have severe burns, the person is most likely, if they're going to die from it's not going to be from the actual burn. It'll be from infection or shock is usually what does it. It's not the actual burn, unless it's from like an explosion and it's full body sick. I mean, it's like that would be, yes, it would be from the burn that the person dies from. So there's different levels of burns. There's first, second, and third degree burn. And then they also have like the partial thickness burn, full thickness burn that goes along with each level. So first degree burn is red and not blistered. So say you're camping or you built a fire and you happen to touch the flame or fall into it if you're drunk and carrying firewood, but your skin just turns really red. That's what is a first degree burn. Or you could even scald yourself from hot water, from your sink, your shower, or God forbid if you spill a pot of hot water on yourself, and the redness, even sunburns. Sunburns without blisters is actually a first degree burn. And most of the time, aloe with lidocaine or without lidocaine is the best treatment for sunburn. So second degree burns have blisters and some thickening of the skin, which you can get blisters from a sunburn as well. And they recommend don't pop the blisters, let it do it on its own. And it's not recommended to peel the skin. But, you know, some of us, we do it anyway. Third degree burns is widespread thickness with a white, leathery appearance. I'm trying to think. Have you noticed, I know this must be the only way to describe it, if you're cooking like a chicken breast with no skin, and you notice how it turns white on the part that's done, that's what they're saying, it turns white like that. And it feels like leather, and it really does. So there's also fourth degree burns, but that includes the symptoms of the third degree burns, and then it goes deeper than the skin. That's when it goes into the tendons and down to the bone. That's one of those really, really bad ones, and it just goes beyond the different skin layers. So like I said, burns have a variety of causes: scalding hot water, chemical burns, electrical burns, fires, and that includes from matches, candles, and lighters, and excessive exposure. So the type of burn is not based on the cause of it. It's always based on the amount of injury to the skin. So, like, for instance, scalding. It can cause all three burns, depending on how hot the water is. I'm not, and also how long it stays in there. I'm not sure what is the normal temperature, say, for your hot water heater. Bobby, do you know? Or Lorna? Does anyone know?
No, not offhand.
Okay.
Well, my hot tub temperature is 104. I don't know.
On your what? Oh, your hot tub. Okay, no, that's another good one. Hot tubs. They also limit the amount of time for hot tub use. Usually it's 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's
because you can actually die in a hot tub.
Your blood pressure dropped too hot.
Yes.
It happened to me. I almost fainted one time in one of those.
Certain medical conditions, they don't recommend you going in a hot tub. Heart conditions, high blood pressure, things like that. And what happens is it can drop. You could faint, pass out, into the water.
I was kind of busy, and I was still paying attention to the temperature of the tub. And when I got up to get out, I almost faint.
Yeah.
My own stupidity.
Yeah. Well, see, that happens.
Yeah.
So chemical and electrical burns, you need immediate medical attention because they affect the inside of your body, even if your skin damage is minor.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go over the I was thinking. Oh yeah, that's under the types of poisoning. Like if you inhale it, inhale, ingest, and things like that. One important one is like ammonia, like the cleaning fluid, ammonia. You can actually get inhalation burns, and you can irritate your skin. So same thing with bleach. You can burn your lungs by you could irritate your eye, your mouth, and your nose because of too much bleach exposure or too strong of a mixture. So that's why they tell you to dilute the bleach. Now, in your laundry, you got to watch out for too because sometimes the vapors actually come out of the washing machine. But you have to watch out for your bleach exposure too. And so that's what they're talking about. Hopefully you don't ingest either one of those, but inhalation can burn your lungs. So that's what they're referring to about a chemical burn. So first-degree burns can cause minimal damage to your skin, or they call it superficial burns, and that's the outermost layer of the skin. And so, like I said, there's redness, minor inflammation or swelling, pain, and then your skin can end up peeling, but or it gets really flaky, but you don't really get blisters per se, but your skin can get dry, and then because it's healing. Also, when you have healing, it will itch. Wounds will itch. Surgical wounds or any type of wound will itch as it heals. That's the sign your body is doing what it's supposed to do, and that's why it itches. So because that affects the top layer of skin, the signs and symptoms disappear once the cells have shed. And usually they can heal within 7 to 10 days. You'll notice, like, say you go out in the sun, the lighter skin pigmentation you have, the more severe it could be. You're more prone to getting a bad sunburn. Myself, I'm like a light to medium skin tone, so I can actually turn beet red and not blister. And then within a day or two, it's like my skin goes right into a darker shade of brown. But not everybody can do that. So, and also your skin can build up for the longer that you're in the sun. You know, you can actually get a sunburn when you're driving by sticking your arm out the window. As it reflects through your front window, you could burn your legs. Or not, well, you can get a bad sunburn. So you just have to watch out. So you should still see your doctor if the burn affects a large area of skin, more than 3 inches. And if it's on your face or a major joint, like your knee, ankle, foot, your spine, your shoulder, your elbow, or your forearm. So normally first-degree burns are usually treated with home care. Healing time may be quicker the sooner you treat the burn. And so some of the treatments to treat first-degree burn is soaking the wound in cool water for 5 minutes or longer. Not cold, not like ice-cold water, but like room temperature tepid water. You know, actually my sink is ice-cold water. I don't know why. But you have to let it run for a little bit just to have like room temperature water. Slightly cool is what it should be done. Take Tylenol or ibuprofen for pain relief. Like ibuprofen, Motrin, and Advil are the same thing, just different brands. The ibuprofen, Motrin, and Advil are more for the inflammation than anything. I mean, it does help with pain, but that really helps with inflammation. And then the Tylenol, I don't know if everybody's the same. It really doesn't do much for me unless it's just a mild pain that I have. Most veterans know Tylenol don't do squat, and neither does Motrin. So there's lidocaine.
This thing is dipping forever, yeah.
Also, you have to watch out
I called, but nobody came.
for your kidneys and your liver.
So I don't know what happened.
It didn't start. It looks like it didn't start. So we begged your mom.
Yeah, she said she was about to get another bag, but never returned.
If you get a sunburn or any type of burn, go to, say you buy the aloe vera gel. It's green, right? Which works, but the one that has lidocaine in it is blue. Now, the first time you put it on, it's going to sting like hell, but it numbs it. And it does last longer than the regular aloe vera gel. Sometimes if it's bad enough, they actually, but you have to get it by prescription, a lidocaine gel that I actually had to do, put it on a patient of mine for his dressing changes because, his illness. So, and it was very excruciating.
A class of
so
first
I used
aid.
lidocaine. Huh?
Wounded, bleeding, burns.
Yeah. You can also use an antibiotic ointment, like the triple antibiotic ointment and things like that. They're using a little yellow tube or whatever. And loose gauze to the affected area. So, and I know the old wives' tale about sunburns was putting butter on them. No, that's like adding insult to injury. Never, ever, 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 ever use lard, shortening, or butter on a burn. Please never do that. Some burns, they also use, it's a white cream, Silvadene cream. And those can be used, that's if you go to the doctor. If you have to go, sometimes they'll send you home with the Silvadene cream. And you just put a good thick layer on it, lightly wrap it, and you're good to go. Usually use non-stick gauze because the thicker the burn, the worse the burn, it'll stick and it'll hurt even more pulling it off. So second-degree burns are more serious because the damage extends beyond the top layer of the skin. And that makes it blister, red, and it'll be sore. And then if the blister pops, then you have that layer underneath the new skin, but it's going to be raw and very painful.
That's easy, right?
So, oh, crap. Did my dog get out? My neighbor's yelling. Okay. Sorry. Some blisters pop open and give the burn a wet or weeping appearance. And over time, thick, soft, scab-like tissue.
How you doing today?
Called, fibrinous exudate may form on top of the wound. You may get a scab on it.
You have a lot of patients here with cancer?
Wait, can you?
Yeah. It's like an epidemic cancer.
Not to be...
But you guys don't have kids
in
this hospital.
Not on this side.
On the other side.
Oh,
yeah, that'd be very sad
It is.
to be there. Yeah. Yeah. That's a heartbreaking.
Yeah. Can you, while your nurse is in your room, can you mute your phone?
I was donated to St. Jude.
So due to the delicate nature...
So donated again.
Yes.
Yeah. Even if a little bit, but anything.
Walter, can you mute your phone while your nurse is in your room? So I can't talk over you. So due to the delicate nature of the wounds, keeping the area clean and bandaging it properly is required. It also helps the burn heal faster. Now, most of the time when you do a dressing change, after you're actually not completely re-traumatizing the wound, but it takes about 8 hours for the wound to get back to the same temperature it was at with the dressing on it. So that's why they say only change it once a day. Try not to change, unless it gets really soiled from dirt or sweat or whatever, try not to change the dressing. You may have to just add another layer on top of it if it gets wet. But if it gets too bad, then yes, you have to change the dressing. But try not to change it that often during the day. Second-degree burns take longer than 3 weeks to heal. Most of the time, it's within 2 to 3 weeks. And a lot of times, you won't have any scars. Like my kids, when we went to Cape San Blas in Florida, it's by Panama City. It's a white sand beach. And this was like 13 years ago. And the white sand beach reflects the sun. And the sand is like scorching hot. And we had lean-tos. We had for the kid, for them to sit under so they don't have too much sun. We even had that, the SPF 1000, whatever, the high SPF, and they still got second-degree burns for their sunburns. And we also got windburn or wind chafe, and we weren't even in the sun. And you can also get sun poisoning, which we'll go over. Oh, excuse me, if I can get done with all of these. The worse the blisters are, the longer it'll take to heal. So sometimes you may need a skin graft, and that's required to fix the damaged skin. And usually they graft it from another area of your body. Now, if you were in a fire or whatever, they also can use cadaver skin to do a skin graft. And as with first-degree burns, avoid cotton balls and questionable home remedies. So for mild second-degree burn, run the burn under cool water for about 15 minutes or longer, whatever you can take. Take the ibuprofen or the Tylenol and apply antibiotic cream to the blisters. Now, you don't have to goop it on or anything like that. Just a nice little thin layer will be fine. So, like I said earlier about the first degree, if it affects wide areas such as your face, your hands, your butt, your groin, and your feet, those are crucial areas. So, and if it's in wide areas, then yes, you should be seen by a doctor. Third degree burns is excluding fourth degree. Third degree is the most severe because they cause the most damage, and that goes through every layer of the skin. So, and there is a misconception that third degree burns are the most painful, but they're not. First degree burns are actually the most painful, believe it or not, and some second degree burns. The reason being is because when it burns all the way through all three layers of skin, it kills the nerves. And so when you damage that nerve, you can no longer feel that area. So, and that's how you know it's extensive. So depending on the cause, the symptoms of third degree burns can include the burn could be, it'll look waxy or white. You can char it. It'll look like, and don't take this the wrong way, guys. You know, if you burn hot dogs, chicken, whatever, the charring, your skin can actually look like that. It can also be dark brown. The skin, everything will be raised and leathery. And you won't get blisters because there's no skin to blister. So that's how you know how severe it is. So without surgery, these wounds heal with severe scarring, and it can be contracted because what happens is it will shrink. Like if it burns all the way down to the bone, like the muscle, it makes it shrink up. So you can, depending on where it's at on your body, you can tell that it was burnt really bad. And there's really no set time on how long it takes to heal. It all depends on your body, on your immune system, how you take care of the dressings or whatever happens to you. It just depends on yourself. Also, diet is very important whenever you have any type of burn. If you're going to eat crap, eat a lot of junk food or fast food, your body's not going to heal. So that's why it's very important. Never attempt to treat a third-degree burn. Never, ever, ever. Call 911 right away. And while you're waiting, raise the injury above your heart. Now, if it's your abdomen, lay down. Therefore, you can't raise your abdomen above your heart. So if it's your legs, lift the legs. Prop your legs up. If it's your arm, if you can, put it above your head. So do the best you can. Do not, it says, do not get undressed. But make sure no clothing is stuck to the burn, or a towel or a blanket, whatever. Make sure that it's not touching it because it will stick to it. Never, if your clothes burnt to your body from a fire or a chemical burn, and it's like, do not peel it off. Leave it there. That's it. Let the emergency room, the doctors, and the nurses take care of that, because you can cause further damage to that area. So complications compared to with first and second degree burns, third degree burns carry the most risk for complications such as infection, blood loss, and shock, which is often what leads to death. And at the same time, all burns carry the risk of infection because it's open. So bacteria can get into the broken skin. And tetanus is a possible complication with burns of all levels, like sepsis. Like sepsis, tetanus is a bacterial infection. And I think it's once every 10 years, I believe, that you get a tetanus shot, a booster. and it affects the nervous system, and eventually it'll lead to problems with muscle contractions. So, yeah, it's every 10 years. So it could be from other than burns. Animal bites, stuff on a rusty nail, bad cuts, anything like that, get a tetanus shot. Now, if it's with your own knife in your kitchen and you cut yourself, well, chances are you usually don't have to, but, if it's deep enough, go to the doctor and they'll decide if you need to get a tetanus shot. So,
I wouldn't know
severe
nothing
burn,
about cuts.
Huh?
I said I wouldn't know nothing about cuts.
Oh, never, huh? Never cut yourself. I've stabbed myself because I'm a dipshit, but,
I almost cut my thumb off with the sander.
My brother cut the end of my finger off with a pair of those hedge clippers, the giant lawn scissors. And he was so brilliant, and little asshole. He buried him in, there was like a whole patch of four-leaf clovers, and he knew I liked them at the time. And he goes, "Hey, look at that little patch." And he goes, "No, look, use your finger, point." And so when I did, I stuck my pointer finger on my left hand, and he chopped it off. So he cut a good half-inch off my left finger, my left pointer finger, and I bled. And I bled so bad, I swear to God, it looked like someone got murdered because I was flinging it everywhere, and it was all over this side of the house. Needless to say, my mother wasn't too happy with him. So severe burns can cause a risk of hypothermia and hypovolemia, which means your body temperature is really low. That's the hypothermia. And hypovolemia means the volume of fluid in your body is really low. So dangerously low body temperatures characterize hypothermia, and that can be like an unexpected complication of a burn. That's why they always like in an accident of any kind or whatever. And when the EMS comes up and they put a blanket around the person, that's to reduce the risk of shock. So it doesn't necessarily mean a burn, and that's to prevent shock. And I'm thinking, man, it's 100 degrees outside. They're putting a blanket on that person. And this is way before I became a nurse. Not thinking that's the reason why they do that. Not thinking it's 100 degrees. Hey, they need a blanket wrapped around them. So to prevent all degrees of burns, it's obvious. The obvious best way to fight burns is to prevent them from happening. So certain jobs put you at greater risk for burns. For one, cooks have a high risk of getting burnt. Carpenters, landscapers for sunburns. Anyone who works in a chemical plant and things like that. So keep children out of the kitchen while cooking. Always keep the pot handles and pan handles to the inside of the stove, so they don't come up as a toddler and grab the handle and they could pull it over and burn themselves. Place a fire extinguisher, and you really should have a fire extinguisher in your kitchen. In every house, it doesn't matter, but definitely have one in the kitchen under the kitchen sink. Test your smoke detectors once a month. Replace them every 10 years, but normally, it all depends. But make sure you check the batteries. And some smoke detectors are actually hooked up to your electrical system, so you don't have to replace the battery, but most of the time it's got both. And here's the answer to my question. Keep your water heater.
That's what I don't understand. What's the first thing that goes out in a fire? Electric. So a fire alarm.
Yeah, but that's why you have the battery. But that's why you have a battery backup on it. So just say there's a fire in the wall. Now, not every wall is on the same circuit. If you notice, if you chip a fuse, so I I always, like at my house here, we have both. It's electrical and battery. So if the electrical gets burnt, the battery still works. But I have mine in the hallway between the both bedrooms. So there's one detector between the both. And then have one in the kitchen and one, I usually have one in my bathroom. But I always put it on right by the door or door frame, whatever. But your hot water heater should be under 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And always, especially for children, check the bath water. Usually, it's by your wrist on the underside. It's the thinnest skin that you have, the thinnest area. And always check, especially for infants, check the bath water. For yourself, you can either use your wrist, use your fingers, be the judge of your own shower. But also, taking hot showers, I know on some people, they can't take the heat. And sometimes you could get really lightheaded and dizzy if your shower is really hot. So sometimes it happens to me. Okay. Lock up matches and lighters. Install electrical outlet covers, especially if you have children who like to stick forks and knives and screwdrivers in your light sockets. Discard electrical cords with exposed wires. Sometimes, depending on how big it is, I've always used electrical tape, but to be on the safe side, get rid of them or have it replaced. Keep chemicals out of reach of children. Wear gloves during chemical use. Wear sunscreen. Try to avoid the hottest part of the day, which is usually 12 to 4, depending on where you live. I'd probably say in Texas, Arizona, Oklahoma, and in South Florida, where it's, close to hell temp, all day's hot. It doesn't matter. From 10 o'clock in the morning, when the sun comes up, that's when it's hot. But normally from 12 to 4 is the hottest part of the day. Make sure if you're smoking cigarettes or cigars, make sure they're put out completely. Don't smoke if you're tired, because some people have fallen asleep and had a cigarette and dropped it in their chair or their couch or whatever. Boom, catch your house on fire. So if you're tired, don't smoke unless you're standing up. And above all, this is very important, clean your dryer lint traps regularly. Like mine. I have to clean mine every 4 loads because there'll be a good amount of lint. Now, if you have the one that's on the top of your dryer like I do, and you pull the long lint trap out, sometimes you have to get a vacuum cleaner hose and clean out all the way down, because sometimes the lint will get stuck deep down inside the dryer. Also, make sure the back of your dryer has the hose. And sometimes you may have to clean that out as well, because dryer fires they cause a lot of household fires. So outlook for burns. When properly and quickly treated, the outlook for 1st and 2nd degree burns is good. They rarely scar, but they can also change the pigment of your skin. You may not get them, or it depends on you. Extensive damage from severe 2nd and 3rd degree burns can lead to problems with deep skin tissue, bone, and organs. So later on down the road, you may need surgery, physical therapy, rehab, and lifelong assisted care, depending on the severity of, like I said, if it goes into down to the bone, yes, you will definitely need a lot of care afterwards. And you may end up just say you got a severe burn on your leg and it went down into the muscle and down to the bone. You may end up having to have it amputated if it doesn't heal properly. So it all depends. So some of the burns that did not get covered under this, let's see, I've got my book here. Hold on. So for electrical burns, you could have numbness to the area, weakness, visible burns. You could get electrical burns, say, from if you're a lineman for the light company. If you touch a frayed cord, and where it goes in, it must come out somewhere. So just say if you touch, say if you got your lamp, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is, and you get shocked. The electricity is going to go in the moment of contact. So say if your hand touches it, it's got to go in your hand, but there has to be an exit. And just say if it's on your other hand, that means the electricity went all the way through your body, and you could have damage from that to every single organ that it went through. You can have headaches, disorientation, low blood pressure, seizures. Like I said, heart arrhythmias. It's an irregular rhythm of your heart. You can actually have a heart attack. And if you ever have an electrical burn or anything like that, and you go to the emergency room, chances are they'll probably do an EKG. They'll check your urine or do a blood test. They may have to do an MRI. Now, Bobby, who was it that worked with electricity? I can't remember which one of you guys that it was. Was it you, Weathers,
Work for
Tinkle?
electricity.
Well, I dealt with electricity. I remember the last time we did this was like a year and a half ago, and I can't remember because someone had.
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Well, think of it this way: your 110 is. So that's what I was talking about, the 110 and the 220. Your outlets, your TVs, that's all 110. But the 220 is usually what your refrigerator, washer, dryer, the bigger appliances. If somebody is visibly, or even a power line, I don't even know what a power line is. I just know it's a lot. If someone is in the process of being shocked, one, if you can, go throw the breaker to shut the electricity off. Never just go and push someone off of whatever it is that they're being shocked by, because chances are they could get stuck to you and then they end up getting electrocuted. So normally, I can't remember if they said it was okay, because it's not on this website, to use like something to knock them away from whatever is shocking them. So chemical burns, it could be from bleach, concrete mix, drain cleaner, and pool chlorine. You could get, if it's a chemical that you're not supposed to ingest or inhale, it can cause mild to severe skin irritation. So some of the signs and symptoms of decreased strength, your concentration can be like you're just really confused. Irritation to the site. It could be swallowed or inhaled. Usually children are the goobers that go and ingest chemicals. Hopefully not. One of the biggest things that I know that I've seen is children that have drank antifreeze. Yes, it can be done by accident. A very small child, if you keep it in the house, which is not recommended. If you do keep it in the house, keep it in a locked cabinet or your shed or in the trunk of your car. Keep it away from small children. Keep all of your cleaning supplies, your pesticides, and things like that. Keep those away from children. You can even get chemical burns by skin contact. Pay attention to how long that it's in contact with your skin. and how it works. Always read the warning labels on the chemicals. If it has an MSDS sheet or information, I'm sure everybody knows, material safety data sheet. With chemical burns, you can call poison control, and they'll tell you. But most of the time, if it's severe enough, go to your doctor. You can have redness, irritation, or burn, pain or numbness at the site. You could get blisters. Your vision can change. You can end up with shortness of breath, coughing, and low blood pressure. Also, you can have faint, have weakness, dizziness, muscle twitching, and seizures. You can also go into arrhythmia or even have a heart attack. So for chemicals, basically remove the person from wherever the chemical's at. If it's a spill, get them out of the way. Remove the contaminated clothing and wash the injured area with a lot of water. Just flush it. Keep running water on it. But there is something that you need to pay attention to. Depending on the chemical, water may cause a chemical reaction. So you need, before you even do water irrigation, make sure that water does not is not contraindicated with the chemical, because it can make it worse. And if there's a solid material like a dust, don't wet it. Like concrete, well, you wouldn't want to wet it because that activates the chemical even more. So brush it off the skin as much as you can. And for your eyes, when you irrigate the eyes, I know a lot of factories have the eye washing stations. Always irrigate the eye from the inside out, if at all possible. It says with your left eye, well, you don't want to have it go over to your right eye. So you want to keep it where the water or the whatever solution, whatever, goes down and away from your eyes. So some of the medical treatments is IV fluids, medications, decontamination, an antidote if they have one, antibiotics, and for wounds, they can use medical creams and bandage and a tetanus shot. So, holy cow, we actually went through all of them. Anybody have any questions so far about either one of those two subjects? Everybody awake?
I had to find my button.
No, Lorna's still sleeping.
I'm not. I'm eating.
But anyone have whatever, if you had any that happened to you before or whatever? Yes, no, maybe so?
I think I've done all of the above. So poisoning is the next subject. Okay, now we were joking about this at the beginning. Okay, look, there can either be accidental poisoning or accidentally on purpose poisoning. My ex-boyfriend was actually being poisoned by his mother with cyanide for like 14 years. And it was she was poisoning him by his food because he lived with her and she cooked all the meals. And I guess what she did was she poisoned his particular plate. And now he has severe complications from that. And after she died and he ended up with some heart problems, that's how they found out, by his nail beds. But I'm going to go into all that. So there's different types of poisoning. Like I said, you can get food poisoning, which is the accidental kind, usually, unless someone's putting stuff in it, which is the botulism, salmonella, E. coli,
I can't pronounce it. The one from pork. The trichinosis or something or other from undercooked pork. I'm trying to think if there's any other type of food. I don't think so. And then you have chemical poisonings, and then you have heavy metal poisonings. So I'm going to go over both the chemical poisonings real quick. So a majority of agricultural chemicals are pesticides, which includes your insecticides, herbicides, fungicides, and rodenticides like decon, which don't work worth crap. But hey, that's just my opinion. So your insecticides, the four main classes of insecticides are organophosphates, carbamates, chlorinated hydrocarbons, and then insecticides are derived from plants, actually. So make sure that you keep all of those away from children. And actually, repeated exposure to all of those different insecticides and things like that, the person can actually accidentally inhale it from handling it. So that's why it's good to wear a face mask or, what the hell is it called? A respirator. So the same thing with paint fumes. You'll notice a lot of painters wear those big respirators that they can breathe in. And so those are really important for anyone that's exposed to chemicals. So the I'm just drawing a blank here. If your exposure to any of the insecticides and stuff like that, some of the effects are like salivation, excessive saliva, lacrimation, it's your tears. When you urinate, when you go, you defecate, twitching of the skeletal muscles, and all of that can come from severe poisoning, and death from respiratory depression can occur. So just watch out to your exposure. And now they're saying if you are exposed to a chemical or anything by consumption, don't use Epicac. And I just read up on it. I know a lot of people had Epicac growing up. It was a big thing. Make a puke. So that's why it's important to pay attention to your label. Sometimes they tell you to drink milk because milk will neutralize. If it's an alkaloid and an alkaline. What's the other one? Anybody know? Help me out. It has to neutralize the balance of the chemical. So sometimes you have to eat bread. Sometimes they have to use activated charcoal. So it all depends on the particular chemical. So let's see. So most of your, like the DDT that's used in, is it DDT? That's used in your, or DEET. That's the one. They stopped putting in, they tell you not to use it in your mosquito repellent and stuff because it can cause central nervous system stimulation. You can have convulsions, nausea, and vomiting. Let's see. I don't think I loaded up this one page onto the national page. I will load it up because it's really important to have because it goes over every single thing like the herbicides and the fungicides and things like that. And it's just really in depth, and I think a lot of you will be lost. So DDT has been banned in a lot of countries because of the environmental effects and because it may cause cancer in people. It's a highly fat-soluble chemical that accumulates in fish and when the birds eat the fish. So, and what happens is when you go, if you pay attention to if there's chemical plants near where there's fishing, it'll tell you how many bass that you can eat out of that one particular lake, how many catfish, how much of this, and it'll tell you because it builds up into the fish. And if you ingest it, therefore you get the poisoning. And usually it's mercury a lot of times that's in the fish. So that's why that's been banned. Let's see. So Agent Orange is another one, which they no longer make it. And I can't think of why. What was the reason for using Agent Orange? Was it used for like? Do you know, Bobby? Why they actually used Agent Orange in Vietnam?
I want to say it was due to the vegetation.
Okay.
So I'm not positive on that.
Okay. But yeah, it's extremely toxic to a lot of animals. And here's the problem, and this is sad. A lot of people, veterans who were in the Vietnam War, and I'm not talking about your cooks that's in the back of the line. I'm talking about a lot of your, the infantrymen. My dad was a combat engineer, and he was right there in the front. I'm trying to think of who else would have, the Cav Scouts. Crap. I'm trying to think of who else is up there in the front. But most of them were exposed to this. And it didn't just affect them. It also affects their children after the fact. It caused, like, ischemia in the heart, spina bifida in their children, and respiratory issues that have been handed down. And the problem is it took them from Vietnam, it was over in what, 70 or 71? Vietnam was over. I can't remember. But my dad got back in 1970. So he didn't have as many health problems until the 90s. So it took them that long for the VA to decide, okay, Agent Orange caused a lot of problems for the veterans. He died before he got compensated. And so they actually compensated me and my brother. And it was a ridiculous amount that they compensated the veterans for. But they don't even want to go down the line unless it caused spina bifida in the children. So it was just a big nightmare. Okay, I think it says all more of the same, yada, yada, yada.
Agent Orange was used by the military to get rid of vegetation.
Okay, that's what it was? It was? Okay. But, yeah, I'm definitely going to, because this is a really thorough website, and it would take me all friggin' night to go through. This even has stuff that was used in World War II. So I'm going to definitely load this site up. And hold on, let me add this to my favorite. Okay. And then I'm definitely gonna put that page on the site because it's really in depth. So your heavy metal poisoning, the most common one, of course, is lead poisoning. Not lead by getting shot, but the most common one was lead paint. Mm-hmm. They stopped making lead paint. Mm-hmm. Shit, I can't even think when they stopped making lead paint. In the 70s, I believe. But houses that were painted with lead paint, they did. It cost a lot of money to get to scrape all the paint, and de-lead the house and all that cool stuff. And even children's toys were made with lead paint. But there's aluminum poisoning, arsenic poison, barium poisoning, bismuth poisoning, which I wonder if that's milk of magnesia because that's bismuth. Cadmium, chromium, cobalt, copper, gold. Is that? Oh, okay, my phone's beeping. Iron poisoning, lead poisoning, lithium poisoning, manganese, mercury. You get a lot of mercury, like I said, from fish and from a lot of industrial plants. They dump their crap into the lakes, and not sure about rivers, because if the river's moving, it's the water's being filtered out by rocks and sand and stuff like that. But your still water, like your lakes, is where you get a lot of mercury poisoning. Nickel poisoning, phosphorus, platinum, selenium, silver, thallium, tin, and zinc. So those are all of the different heavy metal poisonings. So, unfortunately, if you get exposed, look at your warning labels and your treatment labels. It'll tell you exactly what to do. And so basically, heavy metal poisoning is accumulation of heavy metals in toxic amounts. Unless somebody's poisoning you, it'll be slow and over time. They actually have caught parents poisoning their children because the parent had an issue. It's called Munchausen by proxy. When you poison somebody for the attention, or you could be poisoning someone to knock them off for their life insurance money. So there's different reasons why you would be purposely poisoned. But with accidental poisoning, symptoms and physical findings associated with heavy metal poisoning can vary according to the metal accumulated. Many of the heavy metals, such as zinc, copper, chromium, iron, and manganese, your body needs those, but in very small amounts. So usually whatever's those chemicals, those heavy metals are in your vitamins. Some are in your foods. So, yes, look, whoever's calling me, stop calling me. Sorry. Okay. But if these metals accumulate in the body, concentrations sufficient to cause poisoning, it can cause serious damage. And the most commonly associated with poisoning is lead poisoning, mercury, arsenic, and cadmium. So heavy metal poisoning can occur as a result of industrial exposure. It could be in the air, the water, foods, medicines, or improperly coated food containers. Or if your child eats lead-based paint, like the paint chips. Some kids, kids, if they're going to put everything in their mouth, doesn't matter what it is. Pretty much if it's not tied down, it's going in the kid's mouth. And that's usually your children under 5. Unless the child has pica, whatever. They just constantly eat unusual things. It's also the reason why they changed the lead in pencils to the number 2 pencils, because kids would eat their pencil lead, and they were getting sick from that. So, oh, shit. Can you guys talk for a few minutes? I got a delivery at my front door. I'm going to put you on mute here for a second. Hold on, guys.
Okay.
No, Lorna's sleeping.
I'm not. I'm trying to fish my spoon out of my soup. I lost 2 of them in there. Not funny.
Okay, sorry about that. I have the guy's delivering my groceries. I don't go to the store. I've become lazy with with all of this. Oh, cool. And I'm multitasking here. So, anywho, let me get back to
Don't cook
So
while
don't get lost.
multitasking. Burn food.
Huh? Do what?
Don't cook while multitasking. You burn food.
Oh, I know. Mine's in a crock pot.
But Lorna just
arsenic-
burns food anyway.
Arsenic is used in the manufacturing of pesticides. Shut up, dog. My dog barks. He barks at everything. The gas from arsenic has also included in some industrial uses, and overexposure to arsenic is headaches, drowsiness, confusion, and seizures, and they can cause neurological symptoms, encephalopathy, which is the swelling of your brain. You could have nerve diseases, peripheral neuropathy, which is to your arms and legs, and it affects the myelin sheath that covers your nerves. The coating, it protects your nerves, so it can affect that. Also, you could get GI symptoms, flu symptoms, the nausea and the vomiting, the cramping. You may have bleeding. So, and it can also cause your blood pressure to drop. So, cadmium. Hey, wait a minute. I just got out of order here. So cadmium is like electroplating, storage batteries, vapor lamps, and some solders. And so the symptoms from the exposure of cadmium could be from 2 to 4 hours after exposure to it. So if you get overexposed to it, you can get fatigue, headaches, nausea, vomiting, abdominal cramps, diarrhea, and fever. You can also have abdominal buildup of fluid within your lungs. You could get pulmonary edema, difficulty breathing. Let's see. You can have a rapid heart rate. You can have also discoloration to your skin and your mucous membranes, which is your mouth. I'm trying to think of which one. A lot of these different poisonings. There's also one when you check your nail beds. They're called meslines, and it's that little. If you look where your cuticle's at, you're supposed to have a thin little white line. That's normal. But a mesline is when it goes all the way across and it's blue. You could also have little grooves going up and down the nail. And that's another sign of heavy metal poisoning. And they have to do blood work, of course, to see what you were exposed to. I think I'll need more than 20 minutes to go through all the rest of these. So what we could do is now phosphorus. Is there phosphorus mostly in like grenades and stuff, or you see like the phosphorus burns in the military? I'm trying to think of what they used them for. But with phosphorus poisoning, they get weakness, headaches, vomiting, sweating, abdominal cramps, salivation, wheezing secondary to bronchial spasms. I'm trying to think of what. Hold on one second. What is phosphorus? Yeah, okay. It's a combustible non-metal, and there's white phosphorus and yellow phosphorus, and it ignites spontaneously in air and glows in the dark. And red phosphorus is a less reactive form used in making matches. I knew there was something that it went for. So yeah, that's the thing about phosphorus. It just really it does a lot of damage. So, but yeah, that is it, guys. I would need another hour, maybe half hour, 45 minutes to go over the rest of these. So, No, seriously, if I wanted to go, there's a lot of things that goes with this. And like I said, I didn't add the 2 types of poisoning to the national page. I just put the burns and the shock, and I just found the poisoning one. So, but yeah, that's about it. So, what else do you guys want to talk about? Has anybody been poisoned besides food poisoning?
No.
No, but Lorna's been poisoning people for years.
You know,
I'm
yeah.
not.
She wants that. Lorna wants that life insurance. Oh, that's the other thing. If somebody dies of any type of poisoning, the first thing they're going to do is look at, especially when the police come in, they're going to come. Most of the time, if it looks kind of suspicious, if they have life insurance, pay attention. Because if all of a sudden someone's really hateful and nasty to you, and all of a sudden they're being super nice, and they're like, hey, I'll make you breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or whatever, I'm like, yeah, okay. I don't know. I'd be suspicious. You don't have to be overly paranoid about it, but usually it's the spouse. Sometimes it's the parent. If you have a life insurance policy, if it just started, sometimes they increase the amount of their life insurance. That's how they look into things like that. But I don't think I've ever had any heavy metal poisoning or chemical. The worst that I've had sun poisoning, which sucks. I've had food poisoning, and that sucks too. I got enough hot dogs, and I stopped eating them because my body got scarred. I should say an emotional scar from hot dogs. Let's see, I'm trying to think. I think that's about it for myself. How about you guys? Any salmonella or E. coli or anything like that?
Nope.
You guys are too damn quiet, and it drives me nuts.
Well,
It does. It's like, what the hell, people?
Just put one of your other personalities on. That'll take care of that.
No. Look, we've already discussed this at length. And right now my personalities are napping. Oh, by the way, so here's the gist of the thing. I just started school today. And so I'll have Monday night show and tonight's show, plus I'll have schoolwork. Well, here I thought in all my stupidness that it was the same class I just took. No, it is not. I have to do video. My assignments have to be on a video, so I have to use YouTube, and I gotta put it in my link. But I've got like 5 assignments a week, not 2, like you normally have. I got 5 a week, so bear with me, guys, on participation or lack thereof. So, because my brain's going to be brain dead probably within the first 3 weeks of this class. So, just bear with me. I'm going to try and do Thursday night shows on the political stuff, but I'm not sure. I can try and just listen, depending on what's going on, and depending if I have my homework done. So, but yeah, that's about it. So what's going on, people, with you guys? I mean, you're so super quiet. I swear.
I was trying to fix my DVD player. It didn't work.
Your DVD. Oh, I'm sorry. But Bobby, if you want, we could cut the rest of the show short because I'm done with all my information, and if nobody's gonna talk,
yeah,
I'm gonna fall asleep.
Yeah, I mean, there's no point in just me talking to myself, which I usually do anyway. But
because otherwise, Lorna will put us to sleep.
I'm heading that way, and I just got done eating. Now I'm getting super tired.
Yeah, that's what happens. You have that. What'd you eat?
Ham and cheese. No,
that's it. Grilled cheese. Jesus, woman. Gonna have to teach her how to cook.
Yeah, really.
I swear.
For real.
I was going to say tryptophan or, because that tryptophan makes you do that Thanksgiving snooze. And it knocks you out.
Any food that I eat, I want to take a nap, like, immediately.
Sometimes it happens to me depending on what it is. It really
That's old
does.
age.
Huh?
That's old age.
No, I'm always busy.
Oh, no, that's true, because have you noticed, when the elderly, they eat, they're like snoozing? So, but, no, if you have dairy,
Lorna.
there's tryptophan and dairy. But sure, Bobby, go ahead, because I can go ahead and go back to my homework or my reading.
All right. It was another good show. Thank you again.
Oh, no problem.
And thank you, Walter and Lorna, for calling in. God bless America. God bless our veterans, our first responders, our children. And God bless the Defenders 7. Good night, everybody.
Amen.
Good night.